You're doing some research right now. Should I be taking folic acid for my pregnancy? How much should I take? Why should I take it? Well, you're in the right place because I'm going to give you the details that are going to really support the fact about if you should take folic acid during a pregnancy or not. The whole reason that folic acid is discussed to take during pregnancy is because why? Well, to reduce neural tube defects is one, and spina bifida is one such neural tube defect. And we definitely don't want to have a child develop and have a neural tube defect, or spina bifida, or congenital heart disease, or hypospadias, or cleft palate, or autism, or Down syndrome. So these lists just keeps going and going and going. So is folic acid the solution to prevent these things? Research is saying otherwise. It does support some, but not all. And if it doesn't support all, then what is really the problem? Neural tube defects is not a folic acid deficiency. Neural tube defects have to do with methylation, they have to do with folate metabolism, it has to do with your genetics, it has to do with the environment, your lifestyle, your diet, your mindset. There's a lot to it. So neural tube defects in folic acid is old thinking. New thinking, thanks to the Human Genome Project and study of epigenetics, is the new thinking. So do you want to go with the old thinking or do you want to move up to what's new? Folic acid in pregnancy, is it the answer? No, it is not. This is not what you're expecting. I know. Bear with me, because what I'm about to show you is not only going to really emphasize the fact that it's the wrong choice, but I have things that's going to show the right choice. I'm not going to just stay here and say folic acid is bad, and I won't give you any tools. What I will do is I will give you plenty of tools and actionable information to optimize your pregnancy. And why would I do that? Well, I want to do that because I'm a father of 3 beautiful kids. And I'm also married to my wife who delivered these boys. And being a father is the best thing I've ever done in my life, and I will continue to be a father the rest of my life. And I wouldn't change it for anything. And I'm very thankful that they're healthy, they're respectful, and they're doing great things. Now, I'm fortunate, and so is this couple. But the first time they tried to have a baby, they miscarried. She took folic acid. She miscarried because the baby failed to develop a skull. But folic acid is supposed to support all of that. And she was doing it. She was doing the work. Well, it turned out that it didn't work for her, and for various reasons. So what we did is we changed the game plan, and I will fill you in on those details later. So what is folate and what is folic acid? Folate is derived from a term that stems from the word leaf. Does folic acid come from a leaf? No, it comes from a lab. It's synthetic, it's man-made, and has no physiological purpose in the body at all until the body transforms it into something useful. Folate, on the other hand, is natural, it's found in leafy green vegetables, and it's ready to go and do great things in the body. Let's look at folic acid, and let's look at the most active form of folate in the blood, which is called methylfolate. The whole point of taking folic acid is to try to get to methylfolate. That's what it's designed to do. And they did a pretty dang good job of mirroring the chemical structure of folic acid to methylfolate. But they forgot something. Or maybe they didn't forget it. Maybe it was just too hard to put it on there. That's my guess, because it took a long time to figure out how to put this CH3 on there. And what is that CH3? That's a methyl group. And what did that slide a few slides back show was important? The last step for importance for neural tube defect prevention? Methylation. And if you're low in methylfolate, because your body won't transform folic acid into methylfolate, do you think your methylation is going to support the reduction of neural tube defects? Probably not. There is a very, very common genetic polymorphism, which I personally have, and so does up to 60% of the population. 60%. The likelihood of you having MTHFR is very, very high. And if you have this genetic problem, and even if you don't, folic acid is not the answer. So let's look at this. Folic acid, in order to be transformed in the body's primary form of folate, known as methylfolate, has to go through all these steps. Every one of these bubbles is a gene, and it's known that every one of these bubbles has potential issues because we're all different, right? Natural selection and just varying genetics. You look different than me, I act different than you. That has to do with genetics, also the environment and epigenetics. But we're talking genetics here. So the researchers are trying to figure out why some women, a lot of women, are at risk for having babies with neural tube defects. And what are they doing? What are they looking at? They're looking at all these different genes. And so number 1 through 15 are different genes that they're looking at. MTHFR is numero uno. Most significant gene related to neural tube defects is MTHFR. That's what they're finding out. And that's, I shouldn't say it's the most significant, because if you have a DHFR gene problem, that's also significant. It's not the lone wolf here. I mean, MTHFR is important, but there's other genes as important as well. So if they're looking at all these genes and saying they're associated with neural tube defects, then why would we take folic acid and have them interrupt the ability for your bodies to make methylfolate? So if you are taking folic acid and you have problems anywhere, any one of these steps, and you can't make methylfolate right here, if you can't make that, that's a problem. Your baby's at risk. Calcium folate, another name for 5-formyl tetrahydrofolate. So that's a fancy scientific term. In supplement form, it's called calcium folate or folinic acid. These are the 2 forms of folate that you should be taking during pregnancy. Absolutely, without a doubt. The research is there. Folic acid is butting its head against all these different genes. It's not efficient. We used to have horse and buggies, and before we had horse and buggies, we had our feet without shoes, walking on hard, uncomfortable, cold, or super hot ground. Now we have cars and jets and trains. We've evolved in technology. We have it now. So you can choose to walk, you can choose to take the horse and buggy, but you could also choose to take the jet and the train and other ways of transportation. So why, if we've evolved in transportation, why haven't we evolved in taking the most active form of folate for pregnancy? I mean, isn't having a healthy baby exceptionally important? More important than transportation? I think so. Because what's the point of getting around if you're not having a healthy baby? So if you can't take folic acid, then what do? You take methylfolate. So according to Harvard Medical School, there is an interview here where they discussed, can you take methylfolate during pregnancy? And is it an alternative to folic acid? And they go on to say yes. The doctor asks, is methylfolate a better option than folic acid for prenatal care? She responds, taking the bioavailable form of any nutrient, so methylfolate is a bioavailable form, folic acid isn't. So taking the bioavailable form of any nutrient guarantees that adequate amounts are being provided. About 40 to 60% of the population has genetic problems that impair the conversion of folic acid to the active form of methylfolate. So if 40 to 60% of the population have genetic problems which impair the conversion of folic acid to methylfolate, which is the bioavailable active form then why aren't 100% of pregnant women supporting their pregnancy with methylfolate? I don't know. I think it's because the information isn't out there. You have it at your fingertips right now. You have the ability to have an amazing pregnancy and an amazing child because this information is cutting edge and it needs to get out in the medical field and in the clinics. This isn't the research. The research is sitting on the internet. It needs to move from the internet into the doctor's offices. How is that going to happen? By you. Doctors are busy. They don't have time. And they will say, oh, MTHFR is not a big deal. Folic acid is fine. It's been used for decades. It works great. Well, not for the man and woman earlier who tried to have a pregnancy, right? Didn't work for them. And it's not working for many. So what's the alternative? Methylfolate. So that paper suggested that methylfolate is better than folic acid because of genetic polymorphisms. This paper says, is methylfolate an alternative to folic acid for the prevention of neural tube defects? And they say basically, well, duh. I mean, that's pretty much what they say here. They're being nice, but they're really jumping up and down and saying, obviously. So low folate status in the mother is actually related to neural tube defects. Check, we know that. We showed that earlier. So individuals show wide variations in their ability to reduce folic acid. That means individuals have a lot of genetic variation, so folic acid doesn't work for them. That's what that means. People with genetic problems related to folate can better benefit from 5-methylfolate instead of folic acid. Methylfolate is the predominant natural form that is readily available. In contrast to folic acid, 5-methylfolate has no upper intake level and does not mask a vitamin B12 deficiency. Oh, there's another strike against folic acid. There is plenty, and I'm not going to get into all of them. I'll get into them later. I'll show you the science there. So they say that methylfolate is a better alternative as a supplement to folic acid in order to reduce neural tube defects. And they go on to say that methylfolate can effectively improve folate biomarkers in women in early pregnancy in order to prevent neural tube defects. Remember, in order to prevent a neural tube defects, your folate status has to be pretty spot on very early in pregnancy. So, what to take? What do you do? Well, you go to the store because you're gonna get pregnant, you know that, you're planning, you're all excited. So you go on the shelf and you pick up the supplement bottle and it's like, wow, look honey, this has 1,600 micrograms of folic acid. This one's even better than the other ones. No, this was even worse because it's 1,600. So I'm not gonna get into the bad issues of folic acid. I'm just showing you that it's not what you need to be taking. I have the science in a separate video, which I'll show you later. When you pick up a label, a bottle, I want you spinning it around and I want you looking, the first thing I want you looking at is folic acid. If it has folic acid, you need to put it back on the shelf and you need to walk to the next bottle or move your hand to the next bottle and keep looking and spinning those bottles until it shows something different, okay? That's not good. Now, is food coloring necessary during pregnancy? I don't think you have a deficiency in yellow or blue or red. I mean, maybe you'll love those colors, but those are synthetic chemicals which need to be avoided. Folic acid, it's on the label, skip it, fired. Now, I know that from experience that my wife did not like taking capsules or tablets during her pregnancy. It made her nauseous, it gave her reflux, it just wasn't happening. So if she took a capsule or two with a meal, you know, a small meal, and she did that periodically through the afternoon, she could tolerate it. That worked for us. And as a result, we have beautiful children. Thank you. Nadia, for supporting that. Many women nowadays take gummy vitamins because they're easy. I get that too. But the nutritional content in a gummy vitamin is pathetic. I have many people saying, hey, Dr. Lynch, can you please make a gummy prenatal? That'd be so awesome. And I say, I will never make a gummy prenatal because you will never get the adequate nutrition that you and your developing baby need. It's not possible. Now, again, this has already failed because it's got folic acid as 800 micrograms. Now, there are gummy prenatals out there that have 800 micrograms of methylfolate in them, but they're still struck out because it's not adequate nutrition. You don't even have all the necessary nutrients in here. It's not even close, and the forms of nutrients are garbage. So now choline, 70% of pregnant women are deficient in choline. Where's that in the media? It's nowhere to be seen, but 70% of women are deficient in choline. Now let's see, choline supports methylation, which also reduces the risk of, neural tube defects, and brain development, and cognition, and cell membranes. You want all of that for your child. You want to give your child the best opportunity for them to be the best that they can be, right? So it is not convenient to take pills during pregnancy, but it's also not convenient for that child. And the research is also showing that the young developing child that's born and you're all celebrating, their nutritional background and their foundation is also affecting their children. So your choice today is not only affecting your developing child and you personally, but also your grandchildren. So the importance of an ideal prenatal is exceptionally important because it's affecting your grandchildren. Wow. Yes, wow is right. So this is 10 milligrams of choline. That's what I call label dressing. It's pathetic. You're fired. Now, pick up a prenatal that's got a laundry list on here, and you go to folate. Folate is here, right? Half of the folate, so half of the 800 micrograms is as methylfolate. Check. Phenomenal. The other half is calcium folate. What's that? Well, remember we talked about all the genetics being related to neural tube defects, and I said calcium folate, 5-formyl tetrahydrofolate, is also a bioactive form of folate that should be taken during pregnancy. And why should it be taken during pregnancy? Well, calcium folate is essential for DNA-based production. So if you don't have adequate calcium folate, how are the cells going to be generating and reproducing in the developing baby? And not only developing baby, but that prenatal is also your multivitamin, isn't it? Because you're developing a beautiful child in your womb, but you also need to support your own functions, your own ability to have energy, your own ability to think and function and to do things and to prevent depression. Postpartum depression is very frequent. It's very common. And I believe that it's nutritionally related. So having a prenatal that is comprehensive and has a bunch of choline in it is the preferred option. Now, I formulated this and it took me 3 years. Yeah, 3 years of research. Because I would read research paper after research paper. And I would adapt this formula based upon that. Now, this has 8 capsules per serving. So what I highly recommend doing is you take 3 capsules with breakfast, 3 with lunch, and 2 in the afternoon, around 2 or 3 o'clock, because you need a mid-afternoon snack anyway to keep your blood sugar stable during pregnancy. That way you break up the dose and you feel great and your energy is consistent throughout the day and you're supporting the nutrition of your baby throughout the day. So that is even better than taking a prenatal that is not as comprehensive and only once. So this is a great formula, and if you look at the other ingredients, I'm sorry, there's no food coloring in it. But we have the active forms of all these many nutrients. And the minerals are also chelated to reduce the sense of nausea. Now, there is one mineral missing, and that's iron. And why in the heck wouldn't I put iron into prenatal? Don't I know anything? Yeah, actually, I know quite a bit because it took me 3 years to make this. Iron interferes with calcium absorption. So if iron interferes with calcium absorption and you put it in the same capsule as calcium, just because it's on the label doesn't mean you're going to get it. So I know that, and so I keep the iron out. And maybe you don't need iron. Maybe you have hemochromatosis, or maybe you eat a lot of red meat, or maybe you need more iron than someone else. So you can play with your dose of iron more effectively and more efficiently than in here. And at the same time, you're going to get your calcium. Heart. I mean, I had to. Optimal prenatal is where that label came from. So this label is found on this product, Optimal Prenatal. And this, again, 3 capsules in the morning, 3 capsules in the afternoon, and 2 capsules around 2 or 3 p.m. Don't ever take a multivitamin within 5 hours of bedtime because you will toss and turn because of all the B vitamins in there will give you too much energy. And you need to have adequate, healthy sleep during your pregnancy. So again, don't take your prenatal within 5 hours of bedtime, please. I know 8 capsules still broken up is complicated for some people, which is why I developed the Optimal Prenatal Smoothie. It's the same nutrients found in the capsules in a comprehensive, complete, total amino acids that you need, because you need to have protein while you're pregnant, and also protein helps blunt the effects of nausea as well. So people who have nausea and vomiting during pregnancy, this is a great formulation to take because I know you don't want to eat, but not eating during pregnancy and not having protein is going to increase your nausea. So taking the Optimal Prenatal protein powder and 2 flavors of vanilla and chocolate is a phenomenal way to help blunt that nausea and vomiting of pregnancy. And you can read the reviews about it. There are many. So the chocolate is a great taste and the vanilla is also a great taste. It's not that sweet. I know many pregnant women don't like sweet, and we just put enough in there to make it work. To get further details on how to optimize your entire pregnancy, I'm talking lifestyle, diet, the environment, and I have a podcast on this article page as well that you can listen to. It's all free. So, and there's some supplements to talk about that I talk about as well. Iron and calcium and fish oil and vitamin D, probiotics, all these are essential during pregnancy. So I know you're here to learn about folic acid in pregnancy, but since my passion is to optimize the lives of unborn children, I wanted to take this opportunity to really get you what you really want to know, which is, how can I optimize my baby? This is an additional article for you. Now, you're going to be butting heads with your healthcare practitioner, okay? So they're going to say, no, you don't need to listen to that. If you have MTHFR or genetic problems, you can still take folic acid. And MTHFR, there's no significance to that at all. It's all hogwash. There's no research. Well, let me tell you, there's over 4,000 published papers in the medical literature on MTHFR alone. I'm not talking about any others. So I get into the science of why folic acid must be avoided during pregnancy. Must be avoided during pregnancy and throughout your life, actually. Just don't take it. I don't touch it. I don't touch folic acid. This explains why. And please share this with your health professional, because I cite the medical literature like I did today earlier on a couple slides, and I prove the point. So back to this amazing couple who struggled with their first pregnancy. They took the folic acid. They did their due diligence. They probably watched videos on folic acid in pregnancy, and they probably went to their doctor and said, hey, we want to get pregnant. What do we do? Well, you take folic acid and you take a prenatal. Well, the first pregnancy didn't go very well, unfortunately. In fact, it didn't go well at all. They miscarried. They were frightened, but they wanted to do everything they could to have a beautiful baby. They found out through genetic testing that they actually do indeed have MTHFR, both of them. And they most likely have other folate problems in their genetics as well. So what did they do? They looked for a healthcare professional that could help them. They found me. We consulted over the phone along with their other healthcare professional, and we got them on track to take a perfect prenatal. We got them to take their fish oil and their probiotics and to change their diet. She does not like salad. She didn't eat it. I don't know why she doesn't like it. People have their preferences, and she doesn't understand that she must eat salad. She thought that she could just take folic acid, but that wasn't the case. It didn't work. And since she wasn't eating her leafy greens, which is where folate comes from, and she wasn't taking the bioactive forms of folate, as methylfolate and calcium folate, she miscarried. She did the right things. Now they have a beautiful baby boy, and they're celebrating their entire life together. Now, you have that opportunity to celebrate your future child and your future grandchildren, because now you have the tools to take this into play. Thank you. Thanks for watching that video. Now, we're making videos all the time. I'm researching constantly. And in order to help you get where you need to be, it's best to be automatically notified, right? Well, you can do that by clicking the subscribe button below. Now, and we're also trying to change not only your life, but thousands and millions of others across the planet. How are you going to help with that? If you give us a thumbs up and a comment below. Thank you.